So the USA Today, Caitlin Clark skipped the orange carpet, opting to get her hair done in Iowa instead. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you say she skipped, if you literally say this, it's pretty much a case with Caitlin Clark there's derangement. There is media derangement. Like, it is, I feel, I'm again, one of those things where I'm like, it is one publication that appears, and this is a serious publication. Like, let's be very clear. And say what they want, but when you very clearly, which seems to be happening.
Right out of the gate, the claim is that WNBA media is hitting a new low, and that this is genuinely different from the last bad thing USA Today wrote about Caitlin Clark. That's a big claim to open on, but given the outlet's track record with her this exact week, it's worth taking seriously rather than dismissing as just another hot take. Let's actually walk through what happened before deciding if that reaction is earned.
So, the USA Today, Caitlin Clark skipped the orange carpet, opting to get her hair done in Iowa. Look, I'll put my hand up and say this. I was absolutely wrong. I was absolutely wrong with saying, like, oh, she just chose not to go to the orange carpet, so that she could go back to Iowa and spend time with her family. I was wrong about that, and I will put my hand up and apologize.
And credit where it's due. He actually owns being wrong about his own earlier speculation on why Clark skipped the event. That's a genuinely good habit in sports commentary that doesn't happen enough. Correcting yourself in real time instead of doubling down. It sets up the actual complaint here cleanly. Which isn't about him, it's about what a national outlet published without doing the same basic diligence.
So the WNBA media is hitting a new low. They are hitting a new low. Again, this is very, very different than, this is just so bad. It's just so bad. It's very different than the last thing USA Today said about Caitlin Clark, which was awful.
The point that it wasn't even that big a deal in the first place is fair too. Somewhere around 21 to 23 All-Stars weren't at the orange carpet either, so singling out one specific absence for a headline was already a choice, regardless of the reason behind it. My take: that selective framing is exactly the kind of thing that turns a nothing story into a controversy, and it's worth remembering before we even get to the factual problem with the report itself.
So, the USA Today, Caitlin Clark skipped the orange carpet, opting to get her hair done in Iowa. Look, I'll put my hand up and say this. I was absolutely wrong. I was absolutely wrong with saying, like, oh, she just chose not to go to the orange carpet, so that she could go back to Iowa and spend time with her family. I was wrong about that, and I will put my hand up and apologize.
And here's the actual issue. USA Today posted that Clark skipped the orange carpet to get her hair done. Full stop, no context. That headline was published, went viral, and only got a clarification hours later saying she'd actually been hosting an event for her own charitable foundation. My honest opinion, publishing an unverified, mildly insulting explanation for a public figure's absence, when a 5-minute check could have caught it, is a real, avoidable failure, not a minor slip.
So the WNBA media is hitting a new low. They are hitting a new low. Again, this is very, very different than, this is just so bad. It's just so bad. It's very different than the last thing USA Today said about Caitlin Clark, which was awful.
The distinction being drawn here is actually a sharp one. If the headline had simply said she was spotted in Iowa and let people speculate on why, that's fair game. That's just reporting what's visible and letting readers draw their own conclusions. But stating a specific, unverified reason as fact is a completely different level of journalism, and conflating the two is exactly how outlets end up issuing corrections instead of just reporting accurately the first time.
And This entire thing, is just horrendous. This everything when it comes to this network. And by the way, nobody will ever take anything USA Today say seriously after this. Like, she skipped it opting to get her hair done.
And the timing makes it worse, not better. This was posted well after the charity event had already happened and wrapped up. This wasn't a case of reporting in the moment before all the facts were in. The actual reason was fully knowable before the story ever went out. That's the difference between an honest mistake and an avoidable one. And from an outlet with USA Today's resources, that gap is hard to excuse.
Instead, like, I'm sorry. If you say if you literally say this, skips orange carpet after being spotted in Iowa, then that's fine. You can speculate for whatever reasons. But like, the title of this, especially, again.
So when the take here is this network is done, nothing they write about women's basketball or Caitlin Clark will ever be taken seriously again. That's strong, but it's not coming from nowhere. Trust in a specific beat gets burned by specific, repeated failures on that beat. And outlets absolutely can talk their way into that kind of skepticism from their own audience.
It wasn't like times when there was speculation. It wasn't like there was, we saw her obviously getting her hair done, and people can speculate, okay, what's she doing in Iowa? Is she visiting family? And I'm wrong. I should not have said anything more than she is back in Iowa. I should not have said anything more than that.
The bigger claim, that on a human level, this outlet has failed Caitlin Clark over these past few days, separate from any journalism or sports argument, is really the emotional core of this whole video. Whatever you think about the specific wording, the underlying point is that repeatedly publishing unflattering, unverified framing about one specific athlete starts to look less like coincidence and more like a pattern, and that pattern is worth naming directly instead of tiptoeing around.
It's pretty much a case with Caitlin Clark there's derangement. There is media derangement when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And it's like, there are some points in life where you're like, there is right and there is wrong in life. And you are either on the right side, like you can be on the complete wrong side on a human level. And we can be very, very clear here.
This next point is genuinely one of the more interesting cultural observations in the whole video. That criticizing Caitlin Clark has, for some corners of the internet, become treated as a kind of social signal rather than an actual basketball opinion. That's a real phenomenon worth sitting with. When disliking one specific athlete gets treated as a value statement instead of a sports take, the coverage of that athlete stops being about basketball at all, and that's a legitimate media criticism, regardless of your personal opinion of Clark herself.
Like, it is... I feel... I'm, again, one of those things where I'm like, I don't understand it. I really don't understand being so against somebody, but then at the same time I kind of do, because let's be real.
The reaction from critics online was brutal, and honestly, kind of funny. One tweet joked she's going to get someone killed, going to USA Today, but at least her hair will look amazing when she does it. That's obviously satire, but it lands because it's pointing at something real. An outlet that had just drawn serious backlash for one inflammatory comparison, immediately following it up with an unverified, borderline petty headline about a hair appointment. The joke writes itself, because the pattern is genuinely there.
Like, I don't know what they're gonna go and do. But like...
And this next observation deserves real scrutiny too. The claim that a chunk of the WNBA beat at this outlet skews heavily towards social commentary over basketball coverage. That's a legitimate media criticism worth engaging seriously. Readers coming for game analysis and instead consistently getting op-ed style framing is a real complaint across sports journalism generally, not something unique to this one athlete or outlet, even if this video is focused specifically here.
Some official death toll estimate's not released yet. She went back to Des Moines, Iowa. BS Caitlin Clark Foundation was hosting an event. USA is having a week. Check out these two tweets. she's gonna get someone killed according to USA Today, but her hair will look amazing when she does it. Like my joke is that like, what are they? I'm surprised they didn't come out and say, by posting a picture of her getting her hair done, um, she may end up being responsible for the death of a bald person.
And the closing argument lands hardest here, when a beat clearly cares more about the social narrative than the actual basketball, and keeps returning to the same athlete as the focal point of that narrative. Audiences notice, and increasingly, they push back on it publicly instead of just quietly changing the channel. Whether or not you think it's not 2020 anymore is the right framing, the underlying point about accountability for sports journalists writing about real people is a fair one to make.
I'm gonna be real, like that all happens. Like we all have our views of the world. We all have ways we lean, whether that be politically or socially. We all have our own thoughts based on our experiences, based on how we were raised and our experiences. We all are different human beings, and we all and everyone has the right